What's up, man? It's your boy Moondog. As you can see, man, I went to see the Michael Jackson movie in IMAX. You know why? Because it was bigger than life. But with that being said, let me start this thing off, man. The portrayal of Joe Jackson, right? It actually mirrors a lot of things in real life because it shows how sometimes the failures of the parents are placed upon the kids. So we're looking at the movie and stuff like that, and it's showing Joe how he's talking about, do y'all want to live in a steel? I mean, work in a steel mill for the rest of your life? If you don't be successful, you got winners and you got losers. And so as I'm looking at it and I'm seeing how Joe didn't want his kids to live the same harsh reality in which he lived, but when he started seeing them that they being great and doing these things, now his identity became entwined with his kids instead of his own situation, which led to this term that I saw years ago called toxic ambition. Now that you see this right here and everything is entwined and your identity is entwined with this, now are you trying to see what's best for your kids, or you're trying to make sure that your name is always uplifted because you are the reason for the season? Which he was, you know what I'm saying? Even though he put a little BTA, he was the reason for the season, right? So when you're looking at that and you're seeing how it starts, it really started off from like I think 1966 to and it runs like 1988. So 2 hour movie. You're trying to compress everything into a couple hours after years, which is you go skip some things. So it's showing them growing up. It's showing the family growing up. Um, but it's also showing how when you have talented kids and now the parents are placing and family are placing a lot of weight on one person's shoulders, which is a child, instead of the parents stepping up and doing what they supposed to have done to make sure that everybody was straight. So Mike, he had a lot of pressure on him as a kid growing up, making sure, hey, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Ain't no sleep, ain't no time out, ain't no friends. Man, we gotta make sure this straight for the family. Motown, Gladys Knight, going on tour as a kid. School, ain't no school. We finna go ahead and start doing what? Man, we finna start practicing. We go drive, we go drive, we go drive. And it's showing you like the things that Joe did to ensure that his kids were successful. If you want to be a success, man, ain't no time, you know what I'm saying, take a break. So now they get on Motown. Lorenz Tate played Barry Gordy. Great job. Actually, hold on. Okay, all right. I'll get to that later. Great job in a situation like that, right? Boom. And it was a situation, a scene where Joe was so used to running things. So Barry Gordy had to let him know, Joe, I got it. I know what I'm doing. This is Motown. Take a back seat. And it's showing how the disconnect between Michael and Joe really formed and started, and how Joe was kind of jealous of how Mike would give Barry Gordy a hug, but he didn't give his own dad a hug, right? For various reasons. And so now they're on Motown. Now they're making hits. Now they showing everything. They showing how Mike is standing out and how his voice is standing out and how he's able to move, how he's doing everything. I'm saying, hey man, the movie, hey man, the music is the music, and to make you move. So boom, now Mike is a teenager. Mike has people around him, family around him, but Mike doesn't have any friends. That's how he ended up getting the animals and being the rat and the llama and bubbles and stuff like that. So it shows in the movie how Mike's childhood wasn't really a childhood. You'll see him going to toy stores. You'll see him hanging out, and even though he was in the hospital with the burn and stuff like that, right? How he was going in and to different rooms and talking to people. But one part when Mike became Mike, but Mike was still staying in the house with his family and his dad, which they didn't really talk to each other, even though they was in the same house. But he was really close with his mom. And now you're seeing Mike starting to see things. He's really tired of his dad being overbearing and trying to run everything. So Mike end up understanding things, talking to people. Dad piss him off every day, something like that. And now Mike is seeing that I need to be if I'm the reason for the season, then I need to be my own person. But to do that, I need some representation. All right. So Mike, getting the representation, and he had to fire his dad, even though they lived in the same house. it was interesting. I can't get a whole movie away, but when you look at it, and it's showing dynamics between parents and talented kids, but every kid has a talent, right? And it's showing how there can be a rift because the parent didn't do what they were supposed to do to make sure everybody else was there, even though with the tours, the victory tour, the triumph tour, Mike didn't really want to do that because Mike was Mike. And then when Mike said, "Hey man, I am Michael Jackson," and he started understanding the business aspects of it, like, I can't do this without making sure these things are in place. So then, hey, I'm Michael Jackson. I got Thriller. I got to understand what it's like to write songs, make songs, have the names of the songs. What am I going to put on the album? What's not going on the album? But at the same time, I need to have a persona that's a public persona, but I also need to have a private persona as well. So he realized that he wanted to be the biggest in the world, the biggest ever. And what does it take to do that? You really can't have anybody really hanging on to you and doing what? Holding you back, so to speak. With that being said, Jafar Jackson, the guy that played Michael, the makeup job they did with the nose was crazy. The vitiligo situation, his voice, everything, he did a wonderful job. Wonderful job. The whole cast to me did a great job. I'm not going to compare it to any other film or the TV series. This film right here to me was great. Also, one scene that stood out that I'll get to was when the Bloods and the Crips was killing each other in the streets in the 80s. Man, Mike made a phone call, which beat it. He had them in the background. He actually had Bloods and Crips for real. They were real Bloods and Crips. But the thing about it, like, when Mike made that phone call, they saw, or Mike saw them as what? Mike saw them as people. He didn't see them as criminals. He didn't see them as gangsters. He didn't see them as gang members. He saw them as people. And they thought it was really, they didn't really think it was Mike. But then Mike popped up. Everybody was like fans. Hey, man, can I get an autograph? You a hardcore Crip. You know what I'm saying? Can I get an autograph? So Mike was there getting their feedback in the Beat It. You know what I'm saying? In the Beat It video, which is crazy. So we just sitting there watching the movie, man, and we're enjoying it. And at the end of the day, that scene really stood out. And it was just showing how Mike was a caring person. Hey, man, let me tell it. Go check it out. I done talked enough about it because I ain't trying to spoil everybody. But you can't spoil it if you don't see it. You got to see it, man. Ain't no such thing as a spoiler. You got to actually see the movie, man. I'm out.